So there are really three main ways that we can start targeting visceral belly fat. So previously on other episodes, we've talked a lot about how visceral belly fat can be extremely negative for you. How most of us have too much of it. We don't know exactly how to get rid of it. It plays into all sorts of diseases, from heart disease to stroke, different types of cancer. Obviously, type 2 diabetes is a big one. And then even something like Alzheimer's, which I'm personally very afraid of because on a DNA test, it showed me that I was 100% dat bitch, but also that I was 7 times more likely than the average person to be victimized by Alzheimer's. So this is something that I care deeply about. And I want to set myself up in a position where I don't have to think about that. That doesn't weigh on me. Okay. That family members who have had that, just a tough disease, really, really makes you feel powerless. So I want to make sure that as we get older, we don't necessarily have to focus so much on spending all of our money and time being in hospitals, taking pills, different things like that, because we've set ourselves up for success in the years where we have a lot of power, a lot of autonomy to do the things, to train the way we want to train, to eat the way we want to eat, and to live our lives the way we want to. Okay. So I want to make sure that you're not just living your life for retirement, but instead we're investing right now in the future by putting time into our training, putting effort and finances into our nutrition, making sure that we're eating high quality foods that serve our purpose, serve our life goals, and give us the results that we want to. Okay. So going back to this, we're talking about visceral belly fat, okay? That's the type of fat that sits around your organs. We've talked before about how this is not necessarily a bad thing. It's your body's last defense against organ fat, which will literally kill you, okay? So when you start to develop a fatty liver syndrome or fatty liver disease, that's something where you're definitely putting yourself at risk for tons and tons of bad situations, lots of diseases. You're making sure your body can't necessarily filter out the toxins and the environmental pollution that we get on a daily basis. So you're putting yourself in harm's way essentially with a fatty liver disease. Visceral belly fat is the last step before that starts occurring. And we start to see that with an increase in your waistline. We talked previously about how to determine if you have too much visceral belly fat. We just need to do a simple measurement at your waistline, right above your belly button, to see what your height to waist ratio is. This height to waist ratio should be under 0.46. And if it's not, then you need to stick around, because I want to give you the keys here to make sure that this is no longer a factor or an issue for you. Okay, so a lot of people do so many different things to try to eliminate this visceral belly fat. They start decreasing their calories a lot, which can be a huge stressor. They start doing insane workouts, these HIIT workouts, spin classes, just beating themselves down. Discipline, Jocko Willink, David Goggins, got to pour glass in my spin shoes. No, you probably don't. Take a breath, okay? Because we want to make sure that our stressors and our recovery are balanced, okay? We don't want our stressors to be way higher than our recovery ability. And we'll talk more about that in just a second, okay? A lot of people throw in a ton of cardio then too, grinding it on the treadmill or the elliptical, going for runs, jogging, those sorts of things. And then the people will be like, well, I just got to eat a lot of health foods. I'm going to eat low fat, gluten-free, organic, non-GMO. And they think that's going to do it. But at the end of the day, there's really only 3 ways to eliminate visceral belly fat. Okay, and we're going to dive into those right now. The first really big thing that we can start doing is to regain our insulin sensitivity. Okay, so insulin sensitivity is kind of the contrast to insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is something that we have, and you know for a fact you have that if your belly fat or your waist to height measurement is above that 0.46 metric we talked about. So when you are insulin resistant, what starts to happen is that your insulin no longer adequately, either it goes a little too high to match your blood sugar, or it goes a little too low and it doesn't quite match up. So when you're trying to get rid of your blood sugar, your insulin's trying to level that out, put those into storage wherever you've signaled. Then you're either leaving yourself a little insulin or leaving yourself a little bit of blood sugar, both of which put your body out of whack because your body wants to be balanced. So it starts sending signals to other hormones, ghrelin or leptin, your hunger hormone or your satiation hormone, saying like, hey, we need some more food. When in reality, you don't need more food. You just have an unbalanced blood chemistry. Okay. So we need to get back our insulin sensitivity. Well, how do we do that? Well, it's easy. You just get rid of your visceral belly fat. Simple, right? So the big thing here is making sure that our sugar consumption is exactly what we need it to be, which is low. We need to lower our sugar consumption so we're not asking so much of our body and much of our pancreas to produce insulin, to like generate these little spikes that are going to balance us out. We need to give our body a little bit of a break here. okay? So by reducing some of the sugar and then eating our sugar when we do have it, because I'm not going to tell you no sugar ever again. A 24 like 30-day detox, 2020 no sugar, because there's sugar in everything, right? When we eat white rice, what does that turn into? That turns into glucose. It turns into sugar in our blood. When we eat a bagel, what is that? It turns into sugar in our blood. When we eat oatmeal, same thing. All these things. These can be healthy foods. And I'm not telling you don't eat them. I'm telling you eat them at the right times. Okay, and that'll be the. We'll get in a little bit more into talking about how to make those into the right times as our third point. Okay. So we just want to make sure that we're not asking our body to do so much work, specifically our pancreas, which is where our insulin is produced from, okay? We don't want to ask it to constantly be giving us a little spike here, giving us a little spike there, because the more we're doing that and the more belly fat we have, the more liable we are to be insulin resistant and just be in kind of a high state of stress, high state of inflammation. So that brings us to the second piece here. The second thing that you need to be doing to reduce your visceral belly fat is to reduce your inflammation, okay? This goes back to the first point too, because what causes inflammation? Well, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of environmental factors that can cause inflammation. Number one is toxins, environmental toxins, a lot of stuff that we're breathing in all day long. Different things can cause stress in your diet, but like eating too much sugar, a lot of alcohol can cause stress. Having more processed food stresses your body out. Anything that's going to trigger an allergic reaction. So if you're like even lightly allergic to like peanuts or almonds, and you're having a lot of those, that can cause stress in your body. What's crazy is workouts cause stress. Okay, the more intense the workout, the more stress it can cause. Now, there's two types of stress. I want to make this very clear. There's distress and there's eustress. Okay, distress is is the unhealthy version. Think yourself in the corner, rocking back and forth, being like, I don't know what I'm going to do today. That's distress. That's when it's kind of beating down on us. The world is taking it to us, making it really hard. Okay. So the second stress is eustress. That's the good kind of stress. So, any stress can be distress or eustress. Most of it is dependent upon where you are mentally, how healthy you are. So eustress is that kind of stress when someone is like, hey, here's a stressful project, but you're like, yeah, bring it on. Let's go. Put me on stage and let me talk about belly fat for 2 hours because I got that. Put me in a place where I can excel in something that I know I'm good at, and that's eustress. That's that flow state. That's LeBron James in the finals. That's Tiger Woods. You know what I mean? That's a stressful scenario, right? But it's good. It's building him. It's edifying, right? So there's a lot of these things in the middle that can go either way, depending on how healthy you are mentally and physically. So the other things that can cause stress we talked about nutrition, we talked about exercise, we talked about environmental factors. You can get a lot of stress from your lifestyle and your job. When you have a sales job, you're doing commission-based, you're an entrepreneur, there's a lot of deadlines, some things you're wearing a lot of hats. That can sort of start beating you down and decreasing your immune system, kind of putting you into that rocking back and forth straitjacket type of scenario where now that's when you start feeling like you're craving sugar, craving fatty foods or salty foods, drinking alcohol at night, or needing a lot of stimulants in the morning to start to get back up. Because I know for a lot of us, I'm an entrepreneur, if I don't have an option, I'm coaching a client, I have to go do a speech or something like that, I'm not going to get up and be like, guys, I'm a little tired today. We're just gonna coast on this one. No, I'm gonna pound 6 cups of coffee and we're gonna get the job done. Okay, I don't not show up, and I know most of you don't allow yourself to not show up either. So you'll take it out on yourself by buying extra or by selling your energy in the future and giving it to yourself right now by having 4 Bang energy drinks, drinking a Monster, having a bunch of coffee, whatever stimulant of choice you're using. We will pay that price to deliver the goods right now. And I know that's for a fact for me. And I know that for a fact for a lot of you, most of my clients are that way. So I get it. Okay. So those are all the types of stress that you can be dealing with on a regular basis. Now, that's fine. We all have stress in our lives. I'm not going to tell you to go live your life on a yoga retreat and just chill, like Hakuna Matata, right? By the way, can we talk about how Simba's like, guys, my dad just died. And Timon's like, you try to just not worrying about it. And Simba's like, yeah, my uncle killed him and he blamed me for it. And Pumbaa's like, yeah, but don't stress, right? You're cool. That's not helpful. Have you ever tried telling someone to calm down? What is that? What happens? Doesn't work. Doesn't work. Okay, we're back to it now. We're back to visceral belly fat. So what we need to be doing is, rather than just being like, hey, we need to Hakuna Matata this, you just need to relax, bro. What we need to do is we need to start balancing our stressors and our recovery. Okay, so think about it like money in the bank. All right, so you can't withdraw if the piggy bank is empty. So what are some recovery tactics that can help you eliminate or at least recover from the stressors of your day? We want to have a positive recovery to stressor balance in your life. So different recovery things. That's like a yoga, massage, any sort of like that, like acupuncture, acupressure, maybe even getting a chiropractic adjustment, spending some time foam rolling, doing some meditation, some like alone time, doing some reading, doing some cryotherapy, infrared sauna, cold plunge. There's a lot of different ways that we can start using different like physical recovery tools to add points back to our bank. Okay. Then there's a lot of things that we can be doing that are not necessarily like outside of our body. So sleeping 8 hours per night. I know everyone's like, yeah, the sleep guy, boring. We already heard it. But seriously, this is one of the best things you can do for yourself, is just sleep a little bit more. It's really great for lowering your stress. And then the people who sleep more can eliminate more body fat. It's just how it works, because at night is actually when you're burning off your body fat, specifically your belly fat. I don't know if you know how this works, but at night is when after you work out all day, you're pumping them to the gym. That's not when you're burning fat. You burn fat at night as your body starts to recover. So it pulls out the fat, fills the fat cell with water, and then you exhale in like this complex chemical reaction, which I way overly simplified and made almost false. You breathe out that fat in your moist air. So that's why you got to stay hydrated. So sleeping is really, really important. If you can't sleep 8 hours a night, at least you do yourself a giant favor and sleep at the same time to the same time every day. Okay. It's going to make your life a lot better. The second thing is, we just mentioned water. Drinking a ton of water during the day is an easy, inexpensive way to give yourself more points in that recovery bank. Okay. You can add in some supplements, so if you don't get a lot of veggies, taking a green supplement, taking some vitamin D, taking some magnesium, taking some zinc, taking that CoQ10, a couple of different things, they're going to, again, just stack points in your favor. All right. So we need to recap, we need to decrease our insulin resistance, increase our insulin sensitivity, and we need to decrease our stresses in our life, decrease that, because that's going to decrease our cortisol production and allow ourselves to kind of come back down. Inflammation was the thing, not the stress. So the inflammation is the big thing, because stress causes that inflammation in your body using a chemical called cortisol, which is not necessarily a bad thing. People call it the stress hormone, the belly fat hormone, but we need it. We need cortisol. It's like a good and a bad, but so many of us are like on this spectrum where it's like heavy cortisol, we're not giving ourselves the chance to use to get back into balance. So by decreasing the stressors and increasing the recovery, we can decrease the inflammation in our system. Decreasing the inflammation is also going to be a really important piece, because when we do that, we actually give our blood vessels a break. We give our arteries and veins a break. So rather than being super constricted and trying to push blood through there, we decrease that inflammation, and we can actually start giving more blood to our extremities, more blood to our brain. It's just going to make you feel a lot better. Okay. You're running a lot cleaner. That's why so many people are like, I switched to a vegan diet and I felt so much better. It's not because they started, eating only fruits and vegetables, which, by the way, you can eat a lot of fruits and vegetables and still have meat as a part of it. But it's because that they switched away from a lot of processed shit food and started eating more fresh, healthy, nutritious food. Okay. So just shift. If it comes in a box, or you don't know, you can't exactly identify how the food came into being, or what the original thing was, then just ditch that, because those are going to be inflammation causing foods. Okay. So we got to increase our insulin sensitivity, and we have to decrease the inflammation in our bodies. Okay. That's the two big ways that we can start burning off visceral belly fat. And obviously this is not going to be like one and done. We need to start doing this on a continual basis. Okay. And the last point is really interesting. And it's one of the biggest factors that I see people who are like, I'm doing everything right. And then I'm like, no, we're just missing this key piece. It's eating the right foods at the right times. All right. Because calories are not just calories. We've talked a lot before about how just cutting calories, just decreasing calories can put you in a negative cycle where you start plateauing, start pulling only the calories you're eating from your food rather than pulling from your fat stores, which is going to eventually cause you to plateau, burn out, or having to reduce your calories even more. But we need to think about calories as communication with our body. Think about calories as communication with our body. It's not just calories either. It's our training as an input, what we listen to, what we read as an input, what we talk about, what we think about, how we speak to ourselves. These are all inputs in communication, but by far one of the biggest ones is food, the nutrition piece, okay? So we need to stop telling our body to start storing fat and to pull energy to digestion at 10:30 in the morning. A lot of us do this unknowingly because, like we talked about before, when you are insulin resistant, you get these hunger spikes and hunger pangs all throughout the day, which cause you to go and eat more. And this traditional knowledge, this kind of like fitness magazine cover knowledge of eat 6 meals a day, stoke the metabolic furnace, that's not helping anyone, because the more often we're digesting, the more often we're pulling food from our extremities and our brain into our gut for that digestion, and pulling energy away from our most productive organ, right? Our brain. We're not allowing ourselves to really get into that flow state. So by eating the right foods at the right times, for example, ditching those high energy, high sugary foods in the morning, and we've been lied to our entire lives about this. When you watch a video, when you watch any children's cartoons, Saturday morning cartoons, you start seeing that's like, hey, eat these Frosted Flakes. It's a healthy part of a whole breakfast, or a healthy part of a nutritious breakfast. And they show like Frosted Flakes, a banana, an orange juice, some more milk, because we're like, hey, we just get a lot of milk this morning. 2 pieces of toast. It's a high energy, high calorie breakfast. And what it's doing is they're jacking our blood sugar way up where insulin can't really necessarily respond. And so not only do you feel like you need more food after that, but you feel like you need more sugar. I won't get into like the science behind this, but our gut bacteria, the one stuff that breaks it down, we have a lot of competing strains in there. And some of it feeds on sugar and some of it doesn't. So the more we starve the ones that feed on sugar by not allowing it to eat sugary foods, the less sugar cravings we have. So especially starting off in the morning when we are starting our day, when we need energy, we need to eliminate that high sugar breakfast, because it's not putting us in a place where we can win the day. Not only that, it's not putting us in a position where we can start burning belly fat. We've not told our body, hey, it's time to burn some belly fat today for the energy that we need. We've told our body, hey, here's a load of sugar, deal with that. And your body's like, oh shit. So it's like, okay, put some of that into fat stores. All right, and then let's burn some of it off. And then you like sit down at your computer and you start typing, and your body's like, no, he said we were gonna go do stuff. He gave me all this sugar. And you're like, I'm jittery. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't feel that good. My brain's foggy. But that's just what's happening from the food we ate, not just this morning, but also last night. So once we get into the place where we're kind of in this vicious cycle of feeding ourselves high energy breakfast to start the day, then we start craving more of those high sugar foods, craving more calories, and just generally not feeling good. And a lot of us, when we don't feel good, we kind of mask that with food. We mask that with sweets. We mask that with delicious things. So it's not your fault. You've just never been taught this example. Okay, you've never been shown that this model is what you need for performance, because we were too busy talking about how you need 12 servings of grains every single day. Thanks, Food Pyramid. Appreciate that one. Okay, so the 3 things that we kind of talked about, just to recap: regain insulin sensitivity, decrease your inflammation, your stress, and then eat the right foods at the right times, okay? And I don't want to go so deep into the weeds of like, okay, here you need to be having this many grams of almonds for breakfast or whatever else, because I already said, like, if you are a part of my $1 Million Body group on Facebook, I'm going to set you up with a tried and true meal plan that will give you the results that you're looking for, okay? So that's the website to join that is n8trainingsystems.com/group. And all my $1 Million Meal Plan, my $1 Million Body community gets a copy of this, just because I want them to be successful. I want them to have the ability to get the results that they want, not only in terms of their belly fat, but also in terms of their energy. Okay. So go ahead and jump into that group. Send me a message. Let me know you're in there, and then I'll set you up with this meal plan. It's going to give you the results that you want. It's going to make sure that you get what you need and stop making these common mistakes that are causing you to hold belly fat. So I hope this has been helpful for you. I know we went through a lot of different information, but just the salient points again were: make sure that you are regaining your insulin sensitivity by eliminating as much sugar, especially sugar in the early stages of the day. Number two, reduce your inflammation, your stress levels by making sure that you have more in your recovery bank account than you're pulling out in terms of your stresses during the day. Okay. And number three, we need to eat the right foods at the right time. And you can start that with breakfast. Okay. Starting off with breakfast, eliminating those high energy, high sugar foods and replacing them with something that's going to keep you satiated, keep you full, and give you the energy you need, as well as communicating to your body that it's time to start burning fat. So what we need there, proteins and fats, but don't get too hung up on that. Just check out this meal plan. It's going to make your life so much easier. All right, guys, thank you so much. I hope to see you in the group.